anything is nice. Sue's already ready, so I don't know. It just seemed right. I have a good manager. I kind of just do what they say. They've always steered me in the right direction, and I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have this job if it wasn't for them. So if he says, hey, this is a fight you need to take, and they gave me 10 pounds, so easy weight cut, good fight, something that we were supposed to fight once before, so I really look forward to it.
What do you think of the matchup?
Great matchup. He's really exciting. His fight with Matt Schnell was really good. I want to fight a striker. I want to try to work some of my striking. I haven't really been able to do that. Through my whole career, I've kind of been eager to get to the ground, and even in the Makayev fight, I was winning the striking portion, and I still had this eagerness to try to get him to the ground. But when I'm sparring in practice, I mostly stay on my feet. So I would like to show the new skills that I have, and I haven't really been able to do that in my last few fights. And I'm getting older now, and I'm running out of chances to really show how good I am and how good I can be. So I feel like Sue's a good opponent for that.
Do you kind of picture this fight going 3 rounds, or do you feel like you can get in and out of there pretty quick with him?
I feel like this is a guy that I could possibly sub, but honestly, I want to fight for 3 rounds. I want to put on a performance. I like to have time in the cage. I like to get takedowns. I like to break records. I like to, you know what I mean? That's the place where I feel the most comfortable in my life is when that cage door shuts. So the more time I can spend in there, the better I feel.
And last question for me, I got to ask about the sponsoring the fighter. Could you tell us kind of how that went down and what the motivation behind that was?
Yeah, Tony actually hit me up, and he was like, hey, man, I just want to reach out and, say, I'm married to my wife. I love her so much, and I hate situations like this. So just reached out and was like, patting me on the back, I guess. And then he was saying something about trying to get sponsors. And I was like, hey, man, I'll send you some money for a sponsorship. And he was like, cool, I'm going to put your head on my banner. So I was like, all right, I'll give you $500 if you win, or when you show up, and $500 if you knock him out. So, he's a good dude. It has nothing I don't lose any thoughts over Kevin or anything. And, I wish him the best in his sports. People make mistakes all the time. But Tony seems like a really good guy, and, he's a good fighter, and that fight was fun to watch.
So just going off the back of that, was that more about Tony than it was the other situation, or was it, there's a little bit of sweetness if we get a win here too? Yeah,
that's just, I wouldn't want to be the asshole that gives some guy money and puts my face on their banner and then them lose, that's not what I was. But I would have sponsored him anyway. He didn't have to put me on his banner. I just, I don't know. I know what it's like to have to dig for sponsors. I'm just now making money in the UFC. I've been at this game a long time, and I'm finally making good money. So I know what it's like to have to pinch pennies and sleep on people's couches and work while you're trying to train. It's not easy. So if I can help somebody out that is obviously a good dude, a good dad, a good husband, then no sweat off my back.
But both you guys typically are flyweights. This fight's at 135. Does it feel like any difference of, normally a lot of times people say, oh, there's a difference because I'm fighting up a weight class or anything, but you're still fighting another flyweight. Are there benefits to this, or was this just a matter of it was just about the weight issues?
Well, it's nerve-wracking for me because I feel like even though I'm a fairly big flyweight, one of my things that I'm best at is cutting weight. If it was a weight cutting competition, I'll win every time. I have no problem. It's a big problem to make weight, but I always do it. I have a good system. The people at the UFC PI have it down to a science. I just do exactly what they tell me, and making weight is usually one of the things I feel like I'm the best at. So, not having that in the back of my head, oh, we both have to make this weight cut. We both have to go through hell and then fight. I know I'm good at that. I know I'm good at punishing myself and then going into the fight. So it's a little weird not having to kill myself so much for this one, but I think it'll make for a better fight, a more exciting fight. And, I could have came in here and made the weight probably, but it wouldn't have been healthy, and I wouldn't want to risk, missing the weight class and not doing what I said I was going to do. So either way, it's going to be tough. I'm still going to have a weight cut. That's just the way it goes. And I just feel like as far as for the fight goes, it's better. We'll both be recovered faster. We'll both be more rested, and we'll both be bigger.
What is your typical walk-around weight?
I vary. 152 to 148 is when I'm healthy and training hard.
So it's not too big of a difference.
Nah.
So, outside of even just the weight cut, having a short notice fight, are there other benefits that a lot of us on the outside don't really think about, a lot of us watching? I know a lot of times we talk about, there's no stress. You're not thinking about this fighter opposite of you for 8 weeks or 3 or 4 months. Are there other benefits that we don't maybe think about that a short notice presents?
for a guy like me, there's tons of benefits. I'll get in my own head. I have a hard time like watching tape. If I watch tape on my opponent, I only see the good things that they do. And if I watch tape on myself, I only see the bad things that I do. So I'm my own worst critic. Having that time to, make my head bigger about how good this guy is, or how I should or try to beat him or not beat him. It's a big advantage. And also I have less time to get hurt. I know I'm not injured right now. I've rested after my last fight. 10-week camp, there's a lot of time to injure yourself, get poked in the eye, get cut. I don't have to worry about that. I know I'm going to get a fight on Saturday.
And remind me, speaking of camps, is the current gym Next Generation
Yep.
MMA? So tell me a little bit about them and what sort of things and benefits that you've learned since you switched over there.
It's just different. I was with a really good team. We had a lot of UFC guys in Kansas City. Maybe the best room in the world as far as guys my size go. And then things changed, and I ended up going to Texas. It was there wasn't 50 guys on the team, you know what I mean? There was 5 or 6 at the time when I got there. Now there's like 14 maybe. There's one captain, and everybody else just follows suit. Chris Brennan is the general, and everybody listens to him. There's no pecking order. Nobody challenges it. When I'm there, I stay at his house. He lives in a beautiful house, and him and his son live there together. His son is Chris Brennan. He's like 10 in the world now in Bellator. He's 22, I think. They don't drink, they don't smoke, they don't stay out late, they don't eat bad food. When I go there, all my meals are made for me. They get up in the morning and they sauna, and then they cold plunge. They have a routine that I've just never been a part of before. I've always kind of half-assed my mornings and then went to practice, and that was the bulk of my day. But now I have a whole set thing of what these guys do, and I feel like a professional athlete. And now I'm getting paid like a professional athlete. So if time there was a time for me to turn things around, it's right now.
I was going to say that probably helped it feel like you're reinvigorating your career as well with the switch of scenery as well.
Yeah, when I first went there, I was like, man, I'm going to be staying in the gym. I'm going to go back to that old school way of living on somebody's couch and then, just living that fighter lifestyle. But when I went there, Chris let me stay at his house, and that wasn't the case. They had somebody in there making all my food. It's a beautiful house. Everything except for getting my laundry done and folded for me is taken care of. And so paying my percentage to my coach is not a problem. I would pay him more if he asked for more, but he actually asked for only 5% this last fight. So he's even giving me a discount on what I would be paying him. And if he asked for more, I would pay him more. Because I feel like I wouldn't, I don't know where I would be if it wasn't for him. My coaching luck has kind of been wishy-washy, but I've had great coaches, and Chris is definitely one of them.
Now that he's just heard you say that he'll take more money, I'm sure next time that percentage is going to change a little bit.
I don't think he's that guy, man. He's really not. He's not trying to get rich off of this. What he wants is he wants his son to be a world champion, and he thinks me being at the gym can help that. So I'm just, he's such a good dad. I'm getting some trickle down of, his love for his son, which I admire and I appreciate.
Well, speaking of that, especially with your experience in all these fights, how does it feel to give back to all the young upcoming fighters that are at a new upcoming gym?
Man, it's great. Honestly, I'm the only guy in the UFC, and then Lucas is a Bellator guy. But for the most part, our team is all amateur guys, and they're good. They're gonna have a hard time finding amateur fights because they're so good. But they're practicing like the professionals do. They're doing everything, if not more than what I'm doing, and they're doing it constantly. I'm just doing my camps there, and I feel bad about that. Chris wants me to be there full time, but I can't be back. I have to be back and forth since I have a daughter. So the gym is really thriving right now with a small team and having Chris as the leader.
That's awesome. Last one, just going back to this fight. When you look at this fight, I'm sure it's played out in your head. Even though it is a short notice, I'm sure it's played out in your head. What are your keys to the victory? What needs to happen to make sure that you get your arm raised on Saturday?
I mean, we were supposed to fight once before, but
Back in 2021, right?
Yeah. He's sharp. He's got good feet. He's heavy-handed. I'm gonna have to also fight a little bit smart, which is that's not my strong suit. And the smartest way would be take him down and try to get a submission, but I'm not. I'm just not about that right now. I'm trying to show all my skills, and like I said, I want to put a real performance together, and I only have 15 minutes to do that. So I'm just going to stay on him for 15 minutes and try to have fun. That's the most important thing. If I'm having fun, then I'm winning.
And I'm glad you brought that up. I thought about that part where you guys almost fought in 2021. You have a fight that's like that, and then it gets called off for whatever reason. Do you follow those particular fighters? Do you still track them? Have you been tracking his trajectory as well? And do you envision him being a much different fighter now than he would have been back if you fought in 2021?
Yeah, of course. I mean, he's been at a couple different gyms. He's not training over in China anymore. He's training with good wrestlers. He's he trained with Makev for a long time at American Top Team. So I expect him to be a totally different fighter, and I expect him to be big and strong at 135 pounds. I mean, he's taller than me. He's got 6 inches of reach on me. He's going to be a big guy. So it's one of those things in the flyweight division. You kind of follow everybody. It's just now getting big. It's as popular as it's ever been, and I've said that 5 years in a row, but it just keeps getting better.
Sorry, I meant to ask, is the wrap on the nose, is that just an aeration and breathing?
Yeah, just so I can
wrap?
breathe.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I didn't expect it was a cut, but I just figured I would ask just to check. Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Tim. Have you thought more about moving to Texas and having your daughters switch schools, or is it kind of like you're waiting?
I mean, I'm lucky that her mother is so great. She also lives in Kansas City, but I already did that once. I left Kansas City and went to Las Vegas when my daughter was 2, just her and I. And her mom allowed me to do that because I could spend all day with her at the gym. I didn't have to put her in daycare. My daughter's never done daycare, or when she went to school for the first time was the only time that she'd ever really been away from me. But I already did that once. I took her to Vegas and tried to make it in the UFC, and we did that. And now she was living with me in Kansas City, and to move and take her away from her mom again, I can't do that. And her mom is so supportive, she would probably allow me to do that, but I wouldn't want to do that to her mom or to Sterling.
I wanted to ask about your last fight. I guess what was the biggest lesson you learned from that, and I guess what were the emotions like, because you were up on the scorecards last round. What were the thoughts on that fight?
I thought it was a good fight. I wasn't really in the fight. I felt great. My cardio was fine. The weight cut was good. I just wasn't really having fun. Again, I felt like it was one of those times where I knew he wanted to grapple me and I was winning the striking, and something in the back of my mind was still wanting to engage in the grappling, even though I knew that was not the right thing to do. And then by the time I was on the ground, I just assumed that I was down 2 rounds and started getting desperate and got caught in a submission that I've been caught in before. But I was there in that fight. I felt good. Everything was fine. I just wasn't really having fun. It was a weird anxiety fight, and usually that's my stress-free zone, is to get in there and mix it up with somebody. But nothing against Muhammad, man. He fought a great fight, and he's good. He's strong. He's going to get better. I didn't hit my man strength until I was 25, 30. So he's only going to get better.
And finally, for me, there is a flyweight title fight next weekend. Who do you got? Who do you got in that between Brandon and Pantoja?
Man, that's tough. I think Brandon is the most dangerous guy per second in maybe in the UFC. When I fought him, I never felt like I was in control or that I was winning, and I was ragdolling him until the point where he submitted me. But Pantoja is just all around a gritty, good. You can't make mistakes. He's one of the best. But if I was a betting man, and I'm not, I would. I'm going Brandon Royval on that. He's tricky and he's dangerous.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, guys.
Well, welcome back. How are you feeling?
Feels good. Happy to be back. Thank you.
You took a minute there. Did you have to really think about that answer, or?
No, just making sure that that it's the right answer. It's the answer I want to give, so I got to feel it first.
Can you talk to me a little bit about how this fight came about? When did you hear the name Anthony Smith, and kind of how the negotiations went?
Friday, I don't remember the date, but the Friday before I was supposed to fly out to Austin, Friday morning, I got a text message from Mick Maynard informing me that my previous opponent wouldn't be able to fight. Very overwhelming news, especially like right before I go into my last workout before I leave town. But Mick was able to reach out and, I'd imagine, ask Anthony Smith if he'd be willing to step in. And thankfully he said yes, and so here we are.
Is that a name that excited you maybe more than your previous opponent?
I believe so, yeah. I can say that honestly, yeah. It did excite me a little bit more, only because I've had past conversations about this potential matchup, maybe, 1 or 2 fights from now or something like that. So the name has definitely come up in the past as far as just what to aim for when reaching for a title shot, So he's up there. So the name came up, so it was something that I was a little bit more familiar with. And so, yeah, it was a bit more exciting.
And I know you only got 1 extra week, but in that week, did you guys do anything different to prepare for him, or did you kind of act like, you were fighting already and you just took the week off? What was that week like for you?
There were some adjustments. And I think that we chose to go after, the adjustments pretty early, pretty much got the news Friday, and by Friday night, it's okay, we're working on a few adjustments. And then, yeah, the week after that has been a mixture of what I've been doing, some adjustments included. So, yeah.
Why do you think he said yes to this fight?
Because it's Anthony Smith. I mean, the tough guy, Lionheart, they call him that for a reason. Strong guy. It's okay. I don't really see him saying no to many fights, but that's just my perspective. I don't really know the guy, but from what I've put together, I think he says yes because he's a strong guy and he knows what he's capable of.
What kind of fight are you expecting from him?
I can't say that I'm expecting anything. I don't really feel a sense of expectation. I can imagine certain scenarios, and I've got a pretty good answer for a lot of different scenarios. So, let's see.
This may seem like a silly question from the outside, but when you have a fight like this against someone like Anthony Smith, do you prefer to go in there and fight 3 rounds and dominate him and prove yourself over 3 rounds, or do you prefer to go in and get a quick knockout and make headlines, but maybe people think, oh, it was a fluke, maybe we need to see it again? Which kind of fight do you prefer?
Based off of just past experience and feedback, I'd say I prefer fights that the fans remember, whether it's a knockout, whether it's 3 rounds. I just prefer a fight that fans remember, because that is a big part of why we do it. And so, as I start to fight and collect fights and put those in the arc, like just put those out there, I'd prefer to be, acknowledged and remembered for like the fights that the fans were like, man, that was one of my favorite fights, whether it's a knockout or, or it goes the distance.
Last one for me. Was there any disappointment that you'd be fighting here in Vegas again? Maybe not so much Vegas, but the fact that maybe there aren't fans. It was going to be a big card. It turned out to be a pretty good night. Was there any disappointment there?
No, I don't feel any disappointment at all. I don't mind it one bit. I think being able to fight in front of a crowd is nice and it's cool, but I also think that right now a lot of people watch on television, and I think that that's a good thing. I mean, I like the amount of viewers it gets. I think it's cool. I don't mind it, whether it's traveling or staying here. I'm okay.
Kind of going off that, you are 4-0 at the Apex. Is it just kind of finding good luck at the Apex?
Nah, it has nothing to do with luck or, I mean, it's nice. It's nice. Good memories here and things like that, So it's nice to have. But, yeah.
You opened up as a minus 250 favorite over Anthony Smith, who's a former title challenger. Was that kind of surprising, or do you not look at that kind of stuff?
That's the first time I've ever heard that. I don't pay attention to betting odds, things like that. Doesn't concern me. I don't bet, They have their way of gathering information and creating numbers, and it's not my thing, So cool for the guys out there who do bet, if you're betting on me or whatever. Hopefully it means it's good for the people who back me. Yeah.
What does a win over Anthony Smith do for your career?
I'd imagine that it would bring me higher in the rankings. I imagine that it would bring a good wave of new fans and potential popularity. I think it just helps my career elevate to another, level or stage.
And it probably pushes you towards that main event that you've been asking for your past couple fights, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I think that the fact that this fight is co-main event is a great, warm-up to a main event and being able to, even be worthy of having a main event. So, yeah, man.
I know you're not probably looking past Anthony Smith, but Johnny Walker's fighting in January. A win over Anthony Smith is pretty big. Would you, maybe with a win, do you want to get that Johnny Walker rematch?
I don't have it in my heart to say, it doesn't eat at me. It doesn't, doesn't keep me up at night. It's another fight that I believe that can and will happen. And that's all that I can really think, I was unfortunate, I got knocked out, but it created a lot of great things for me. It was a great pivotal moment in my life. So it doesn't anger me or make me feel like I need revenge or need to get that back to clear my record or whatever. It's just, it's in there, and when it happens, it happens.
And then I wanted to ask, there is a new champion in your division, Alex Pereira. Did you watch that fight? And
I did.
what do you think of Alex becoming a light heavyweight champion?
It's pretty amazing. Middleweight champion, former middleweight champion, right? Light heavyweight champion. I think it's great. I think what he's up to and the impact that he's able to make and the amount of fans he's able to like reach out to, like touch, and people back him and they believe in him and they like his fighting style and his character, and double champ, coming from Brazil, having a, pretty cool background story, going all through this stuff to become double champion, I think is great.
Would you move down to middleweight to fight Sean Strickland?
No, I have no intention at all in moving down to middleweight for any reason. No.
You probably couldn't do it anyway.
Wouldn't make any sense.
Thanks, Khalil.
Yep.
Just going back to that, the 4-fight win streak that you're on, it's probably, if not, I think it is the best run that you've had in the UFC up to this date. Are you feeling like things are hitting it? Are you hitting your stride right now, or what's been the real key to the success that you're on right now?
The real key to the success. I think, to simplify it all, I think it's discipline. I think that's been the key to the success that I've been able to have so far, is just discipline in my training, in what I consume, not just food, but whether it's books or, mindfulness or learning something new, or just staying disciplined and just feeding myself healthy things, as many healthy things as I can. And then my training and staying disciplined in my effort every day. And just having a goal and realizing that it just takes a consistent work and a effort level that doesn't just plateau. The effort's got to stay here and the work's got to stay here. You know what I mean? And I think that's probably been the key, is just staying disciplined.
Well, I think when you talk about discipline, everybody looks back to way back in history when you were overweight and you used discipline to get you to your physique and everything that you look now. Which, is it that same sort of exact mindset, or is it even just more focused now that you realize that your career and everything's based upon? Is the discipline now even better than what you employed back then?
I think that the discipline is better now. And I think that I choose it because of everything, not only my career and the success, but my abilities and my dreams, not only as a fighter, but as a father, as a husband, or like all these things. And I'm using it to kind of, I guess, shape and mold who I will be in the future, and working hard to be just something more. So as I mature, I guess I realize the significance of what, discipline can bring for if you plan a future, I think that's one of the best ways to get to what you imagine, is to like set it and then stay disciplined in your action to it, and then things reveal themselves,
Well, it's definitely working, so it's awesome to see. Just one of the last ones. Are you able to look back at that last fight with Ryan Spann? Are there things that you could take away for his last fight against Ryan Spann? Are there things you could take away from that fight to benefit you in this particular matchup?
I'm sure there are things that I could take away. And there were some, like I said, adjustments that were made on my end. And if all goes well, then I'll be able to capitalize.
Fair enough. I guess to follow up to that, what are your keys to the victory? What needs to happen to make sure that you get your arm raised on Saturday?
Let me get back to you on that one.
Show me on Saturday, right?
I'll show you on Saturday. Yeah.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Khalil right here. Kind of bouncing off what Kenny was alluding to earlier on. For you, obviously, you're very invested inside the octagon. However, outside, how are you doing mentally and emotionally? But also, too, what are you doing now these days? Are you still kind of throwing axes, hitting the golf ball around in your backyard? Like, what are you doing to just decompress and be able to keep moving forward?
I didn't even think I'd be able to bring this up. That's cool. Thanks for that question. I'd say that golf has been a huge, huge mental release for me, for sure. I never knew. I've only been swinging a golf club for maybe 3 months now. But when I started to dive into it and when I got introduced to it, it's such a complex game. And it's not something that you can just pick up and perfect every time. Like, if you don't work on your swing and make adjustments, then like you'll never be able to properly drive or chip or even putt a golf ball. And there's so many layers to it. So I think that it's been able to be a good like mental release as far as like a hard day at training camp or maybe like just stress at home, whatever it may be. And just like, okay, just go in the backyard and line up these putts, you know, or go to the driving range and just make sure that I've got proper form and that it feels right when the ball makes, or like when the club makes contact. So it's brought like a sense of peace, and there's nothing more peaceful to me than like being out on a golf course. You know, like just everything's green. It's like outdoors, the sun's shining. And I think it's just been very healthy for my mind. So definitely one of the things. What else? I do as much as I can as far as like practicing just sitting still, you know, trying to be in the silence and just kind of block out all the other stuff. And then I think those are ways to definitely keep my mind healthy. Barely use social media, you know, like it's just, if I get into it, then after a week, I just notice a difference in myself. And so, yeah, just try to I've been like outside of training and things like that, whatever's going on, I'm just trying to like kind of level everything out so that I feel good. I don't even know if that answers your question, but yeah.
No, absolutely. And speaking on that golf game, I mean, for me personally, it's snowman every time. So there's not much to it. But with that being said, you know, sometimes your drive goes really well, but then you can't chip it in. Or, you know, you can't drive well, but you do chip it in. For you, when you take a look at your golf game, do you see any resemblance in your inside the octagon, or you try to separate the two distinctly?
Yeah, no, things start to kind of merge together, even unintentionally. You know, it's just let's say I'll be at Muay Thai training or something, and then I start to try to apply like golf techniques or movements, like, oh, let me rotate more, maybe I'll punch better, maybe my punch will go straighter if I just like rotate here, if I don't plant my feet like this, or, you know. So I think they've been able to help me kind of look at each other differently. Even when I go golf, the first time I picked up the driver, I didn't even go to iron. I'm like, all right, we're at a driving range, I'm going straight driver. And I didn't know that, you know, that's just kind of, people don't do that when you know what you're doing. So, and I was just swinging at it like 100%. Next day I was like, oh, my back's tight, you know, all these things. So I guess starting to make things just be a little bit more easy, like take it easy, slow, consistent, soft, like just clean swing. And then so when I apply that to my fighting, then when I go train, I'm like, training's not so bad when I just kind of take it easy. Not everything is like, you know. So yeah, there's been some cool you know, similarities.
When you do go golfing, are you golfing by yourself? Are you going with some friends or family? And then when you do find yourself in that pickle of, okay, I'm not swinging well today, or things don't feel right, or even when you're training as well, are you kind of pulling that old Happy Gilmore, just go to your happy place kind of thing?
So to be absolutely honest, right now, I've been to multiple golf courses, but I myself didn't have the confidence to actually golf. So now I go to the driving range and chip and I'll putt. And then if I golf, it's on a simulator with friends. Because I just don't want to go out and just shank the ball completely and then have that in my mind while I'm, trying to finish the 18. So right now I'm really just trying to practice and develop my swing, make sure that things are consistent. But the times that I have been out, it's been with friends, group of people. I don't think that at all I wouldn't mind going on my own. But also my fiance Mia, she golfs, she loves it too. So it's a cool thing that like it's not something that I'm doing to like escape the house or just like I need my free time and leave the wife at home. It's not that case. It's like if we're both a little bit stressed, it's like let's go to the range. Perfect. We take our clubs to the range and then the both of us together are just kind of like bonding over getting better. So I think I ranted. My bad.
Oh, you're all good. It was all great. Look forward to seeing that translate into the octagon Saturday. Good luck.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Hey, Chris, welcome back to Vegas. How are you feeling?
Thank you. It feels good to be back.
Does it feel different being a main event?
Just giving a little bit more media, other than that, and, the reality that it's 2 more rounds, it's all the same.
How different was your training camp, if at all, for that?
Yes and no, a little bit different, not too much. We've always been training for 5-round fights. That's what our strength coaches and everything, we're all striving for the 5-round fights. So in essence, I was almost like getting ready for that no matter what. So it just highlighted it more.
The card was originally supposed to be in China. Now it's here in Vegas. Is there a little bit of relief that you're kind of on your own home turf this time?
Yeah, I mean, it would have been a beautiful experience to experience the Chinese culture, in person. That would have been a nice experience. But, given the fact that we weren't able to do it, and it's here, yeah, I'm not going to get mad over that 15-hour plane trip that we don't have to do.
And you probably have to pay less taxes, I would imagine, too, right?
Correct, yeah. They're like 30-40% in taxes. Not good.
What do you think of the matchup?
I think it's a good matchup. It's a tough task at both ends. But, I'm well prepared. I have a good team behind me, a good support system. And I believe I have the tools to win.
And right now you're the underdog. Does that give you a little bit more pressure, or does that give you a little bit of more motivation?
Been the underdog my whole life in everything I've done. It's no different.
And how do you spend the end of the year after this fight? How are you going to spend the rest of the year?
Just be with my family, be with my lady, see my parents. All the efforts still go to me, still trying to see my son, who's still, alienated out of my life. So that's still an uphill battle. So still got that going as well.
And going into 2024, how would a win on Saturday night kind of propel you for 2024?
I think it pushes me closer to a title fight, So I think I bring something, something exciting to the division, a different style, a different meaning to it. I'm excited. I'm blessed to be here. Thank you.
Fighting 2 Chinese fighters back to back. What's up?
I don't know. I don't think they liked the first one, so they gave me a second one. Yeah, it is what it is,
Now that you had some time to digest, how important was that win over Elliott in October? Coming off it wasn't your first UFC loss, but it was your first one in a while, and I know that one kind of stung you. So how nice was it to get back in the win column?
Of course, especially in a sport where you're judged by your last fight. You can win. It's not like soccer where you have 100+ games a season and you lose 10 and they don't care. They almost forgot. In fighting, you can win 10 fights and you lose 1 and you suck and you should just give up and the world hates you and has an opinion on you. Yeah, I mean, it feels good to get back in the win column, of course. Reality is your job's always on the line. So you got to win.
Did you feel that backlash from the fans, from your fellow fighters that, you're out on this win streak and then you get this big step up, you lose, then everyone just forgets about your win streak that you were just on?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys and say that, no. I got a lot of shit talked to me online, because of that. But, I didn't pay attention to it. I had to refocus and change some things up. And, and I believe I was able to do that and showcase that in my last fight.
Obviously, there are arguments that you have the best leg kicks in the UFC. Are those going to be one of your biggest weapons this Saturday to slow Song down, slow his power down, slow his movement down?
Yeah, of course. If he leaves his leg out there, I'll take it. Reality is he's gonna try to punch a hole through my face, and I'm gonna try to kick a hole through his face. So that's the reality. We two good strikers, meeting and 2 different styles clashing. I don't know. To me, I look at it as it's a beautiful thing.
And, it's been a nice few weeks for Factory X. Last week Cody got a big win that he really needed. Your next time main event, Brandon next week. Just how does it feel, representing Factory X and just having the kind of high that you guys are on right now?
It's a beautiful thing, I was saying it earlier. It's nice to be around people that you can see doing well in their personal life and then changing their lives in their career, So I've been able to watch, two of my teammates, Jonathan Yusuf, change their lives and do great things, and to watch Cody go, his last, fight, and then to go and slam someone and get a bonus, and then kind of rewrite that wrong, and just see him bettering his life, physically, financially, and spiritually, and all. I just think it's a beautiful thing to watch. We're watching ourselves change our lives, and every day.
And then finally, I asked you in October. I'm sure it hasn't changed, but Brandon Royval, is he bringing back the title to Factory X?
Yeah, it's not changing. Yeah, Colorado's going to have a new flyweight champion.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris.
How's it different headlining a UFC card as opposed to in the past when you headline like LFA? How's this week been different? And maybe just in terms of how you deal with this event and where you are in your career to where it was back then.
Can you repeat it?
This event, obviously headlining first time in the UFC, big major thing, but you've been there before. You've headlined at events before. How is it different, the feel going into this fight week as opposed to maybe it was back in LFA when maybe it was like some of the first times when you're going up for a headline main event?
The UFC is the biggest promotion, is the best fighters in the world. So, it's like, being in like the World Cup or like the NFL. You finally make it, and now you're fighting for a chance to, play in the finals. And, that's how I look at it. And so, it's not different, but it is, it's just my first main event in the UFC, so it's uncharted, territory for me. And it's almost a scary feeling in a way, and I'm okay with admitting that. But, I'm not here. I'm not here by luck. I'm not here because I was given, chance after chance. I literally fought and clawed my way to be where I'm at, and so I can rest on that. I don't cheat my way. I don't take shortcuts, and so I'm happy where I'm at. I haven't said that in a while, but I'm happy.
At what point at Fight Night does not the scaredness, because I know none of you guys are scared, but at what point in night do the jitters go away? What time does the nervousness go away? At what point?
Who says they're not scared? Man, that's the biggest bullshit. People are, you know what? Maybe I can't speak for everybody, but I'm scared shitless. It's just the reality, right? You're putting yourself in a very vulnerable position. You're going out there to fight, half naked in front of millions of people, and the world is just. Unfortunately, we live in a world where people are just waiting for your downfall, and everyone's got an opinion of you. So, we're putting ourselves in a very vulnerable position. So to say you're not afraid, I think that's almost you like trying to mask something. No, accept it, I think the difference is I know who I am as a person. I know where I come from. I know the task at hand, and I know what I'm here to do, and I know the goal I'm after. I know where I want to be in life, and this is just another opportunity to get there. It's a tough task, but it's a tough one for him too.
Just to go off of that, what is the goal in life? Where is that dream? Where is that end point where you see yourself that you're working, doing all this hard work for? What is that point?
Just striving to be a better man. I just being a better man, doing better things. Just not giving in to all the bullshit, and just trying to change a generational curse. That's for me. That's where I see myself. Is I just I want to have my faith better with God. My relationship better with my parents, my brothers, my lady, my friends, my coaches. Always striving to just be a better person for myself, so I can be a better person for the people that need me.
That's awesome. When you look on paper, you got a lot of TKO finishes. You got a lot of KO finishes. He's got a lot of KO finishes. He's got a lot of TKO. Is there any possibility that this fight gets to the ground? And should it happen, who's got the better skill set on the ground?
I guess we'll have to see, right? I mean, that's yeah. I mean, we both like to strike. We both like to stand. But I'm a mixed martial artist at the end of the day. If we have to go to the mat, so be it. It's not like I'm a stranger down there.
Sure.
It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to to test our skills out in all aspects. So that's what I said. Sport's very beautiful because you learn about a lot about yourself. After every camp, after every fight. So yeah, it'd be nice to see what transpires in the fight.
Last thing for me, I'm sure you visualized the end to this fight, but what are the keys to the victory for you? What needs to happen on Saturday to make sure that you get your arms raised?
Stay focused, stay present, and just be where my feet are at all times. And have the courage that I need when the time is right. So.
I love that phrase, be where the feet are. Can you kind of elaborate on that? Is it just about staying in the present, staying in the moment, not getting out of your head? Or, elaborate on that for me.
Yeah, just, being in tune where you are, being focused, being 100% where you're at. I think, like I said, I've seen, to be where I'm at, man, I'm so blessed to be here. Because, like I said, many dream, but many will never get this opportunity. And so I've seen people come and go. And so I don't take it for granted. So that's why I'm all in. I'm present, and I'm excited.
Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Chris, right here. Obviously, talking about fear, emotions, everything pulling at your mind. On Instagram, you had posted something about controlling your mind over your emotions. With everything, with all that being said, how do you fortify your mind, considering this being your biggest opportunity yet?
Say that last part again.
How have you fortified your mind through this process, considering this is possibly your biggest opportunity yet in the UFC?
Yeah, in a way, this is the biggest fight of my career, but at the same time, it's not. I truly believe the daily battles, that I win on the daily help me get to where I'm at. So, that's just what it is, I think the daily battles that I battle daily, those small moments help propel me and get me to where I need to be. So, in a sense, this is an important fight, but not as important as the ones that I deal with on the daily,
100%, and not everybody acknowledges it, and there's not necessarily one key moment, but sometimes there are for some people. You talk a bit about those little moments that add up. Do you care to share what are some of those things that constantly are in your mind but help you prevail and keep going forward?
Yeah. Yeah, I always think of the situation with like my son, that's obviously a really big, thing in my life that, my son is alienated from me, he lives an hour away and I have no ties to him. So I can go two ways. I can go off the deep end and be that, and go down that route, and it's a route I choose not to go because I've been almost to the point of no return. And so I don't want to self-destruct no more. I want to, in a sense, self-manifest. So with obviously that stuff always lingering on me, all the temptations, all the bad thoughts that come over, I try to daily, fight those and fight for the good and try to give peace where it needs to be and, forgiveness where it needs to be forgiven.
And last thing for me, looking at that hope that you have in your faith and looking at this fight going forward, what excites you most about the opportunity?
I think the message that I'm sending on this platform is beautiful. To all the little kids growing up in the inner city, to all the younger generation, coming up from a rough upbringing, with discipline and hard work, you can reach your dreams. You can go from, you're you're the author of your book. So be the hero of your own story, and I think that's the the message that I want to send is that I got tired of waiting for a hero to show up, so I decided to be my own hero.
Awesome. Thank you. Good luck Saturday.
Thank you.
Hold my breath.
Hello, brothers.
Welcome back to Vegas. How are you feeling this fight week?
Bem-vindo de novo de volta a Vegas. Como é que está se sentindo nessa semana de luta?
Muito bem. Sou muito feliz aqui em Las Vegas. É uma cidade que me traz boas recordações, bons momentos. E estou feliz de lutar aqui novamente. Vamos com tudo dia 9 aí, voltar para o caminho das vitórias.
I'm feeling great. I'm usually very fortunate here in Vegas. It's a city that has gotten me some great success, good moments, good memories, and we're going all out on the 9th to make it happen.
Are you superstitious at all? Do you kind of think about that, like how well you perform in certain cities and wanting to fight there again, or certain venues or things like that?
Você chega a ser supersticioso pelo fato de que você falou que estar em Vegas é importante porque você foi muito feliz aqui, você se preocupa no sentido de que, pô, eu me dou bem lá, ou em alguma arena especificamente, em alguma cidade?
Não, é só porque acho que é a cidade que todo atleta gosta de lutar, porque é o centro do mundo da luta. Então é importante estar aqui, sempre lutar aqui é importante. E eu quero sempre poder lutar em Las Vegas.
No, this is actually a city that every athlete likes to fight in. It is the center of the fight world, and It's very important to always be fighting here, so I always want to come back and fight in Las Vegas.
Were you disappointed at all that you wouldn't be fighting in China, or were you more excited when you heard it was Las Vegas?
Você chegou a ficar decepcionado com o fato de que você não chegaria a ir para a China ou facilitou para você e você disse, nada mal, tá em Las Vegas?
Não, não, não. Gostei muito da mudança. A diferença de fuso horário era de 13 horas. Agora é só de 4, 5 horas para o Brasil. A minha adaptação aqui já foi muito rápida. Já estou dormindo bem, acordando no horário. Então, eu estou muito feliz pela mudança de local, né? Gostaria de conhecer a China, quem sabe em outra oportunidade. Mas, para a questão do meu trabalho, da minha luta, foi uma grande mudança para mim.
No. I mean, it was a welcome change. If you think about it, the time difference would have been to be 13 hours from Brazil. Here we're talking about 4 or 5. I'm looking at sleeping and on my regular schedule. I'm already sleeping on schedule. I'm already adapted. Would love to get to know China, but because of my work, because of what I do and what I have to do for this fight, this was a welcome change.
And you're coming in off a 2-fight losing streak. Does that put some pressure on you this time, or does that give you extra motivation?
Você vem de 2 derrotas consecutivas. Isso coloca para você pressão nessa próxima luta ou te traz motivação?
Me traz motivação, com certeza. Eu trabalhei muito nas minhas lutas passadas, mas aconteceram derrotas. E para esse camp eu fiz tudo e um pouco mais, sabendo da dificuldade que vai ser a luta, mas para poder sair com uma grande vitória no sábado.
It's motivation. I worked very hard for those 2 fights. The win didn't come, but for this camp, we did everything that we could do to come out with a win on Saturday.
What do you think of your opponent? How do you see this fight going?
O que você pensa do teu adversário? Como é que você vê essa luta acontecendo sábado?
É um atleta duro, vem numa sequência boa de vitórias. Tem um bom chão, tem uma boa trocação. Eu já estive no lugar dele, na posição que ele está nesse momento. Mas vejo sábado eu controlando a luta, conseguindo impor meu jogo e saindo com uma grande vitória daqui de Las Vegas.
Tough guy, coming off of consecutive wins. Good in striking and good on the ground as well. I've been in his position before, and I've been in the moment that he is right now. But I see myself being able to pressure, impose my game, and put my game plan and my strategy on, and coming out with the win here in Las Vegas.
And last question for me. I know if you had been fighting in China, it was going to be a little bit like enemy territory. People would probably be cheering for him. Here in Vegas, it's kind of an even playing field, not a lot of fans. Is that something that you kind of wish that you had, having kind of going in there and having people rooting against you? Does that give you a little bit more motivation in the fight?
Minha última pergunta é: você, se estivesse na China, você obviamente estaria jogando fora de casa e a torcida seria toda para o adversário. Estando aqui, não só uma torcida menor do que numa arena, mas também vai estar muito mais neutro. É uma coisa que você teria gostado, de repente, você ter não só uma torcida, mas contra para usar como motivação?
Acho que a minha motivação é voltar para o caminho das vitórias, representar o meu país, buscar a vitória para minha família. Essa é a minha motivação. A torcida, para mim, ela influencia quando eu luto no Brasil, porque a torcida brasileira é diferente. Nos outros lugares do mundo, para mim, não tem diferença se vai estar contra ou a favor. Eu vou fazer meu trabalho da melhor maneira possível.
I think coming out with a win, representing my country, doing it for my family, coming out with a win, that's the most important part. I think that a crowd against me doesn't make that much of a difference. I would say it does make a difference in Brazil, because in Brazil, the crowd is just different. I'm just going to continue to do my job and go out for the win.
Thank you.
I think a lot of people, when they look at this, they think this is possibly a striker versus a grappler event. But would people be mistaken if they think that you are only expecting to get this fight to the ground?
Acho que muita gente olha para essa luta como sendo assim um cara da trocação contra um cara de chão. Você acha que as pessoas cometem o erro de pensar, não, ele vai tentar levar essa luta para o chão? Simples.
Eu acho que os dois atletas são bem completos. Acho que não tem um atleta que é de uma modalidade só. É tanto que nas minhas últimas lutas eu lutei bem em pé e nas últimas lutas dele ele conseguiu boas finalizações. Então acho que os dois atletas são bem completos, estão bem fortes nas todas as áreas. Eu acredito que aquele que acertar a sua melhor estratégia vai vencer sábado e eu estou muito preparado, treinado, focado para fazer a minha estratégia correr da melhor maneira possível no sábado.
I think both athletes are very complete. I think that in my last fights, you've seen me do a lot of striking and do well at it, and you've seen him actually get submissions. So, in this level, you both there's no such thing as a one-dimensional athlete. Everybody's very complete, and that no matter where the fight goes, we're ready to put on strategy and come out with a win on Saturday.
And I know when you're coming with a couple losses, you want to get that win. Is it just enough to get a win, or do you want to really go out there and get an emphatic finish to really to kind of right the ship?
E com as derrotas é natural que você realmente queira e venha com sede de vitória, mas é importante não só conseguir uma vitória, mas conseguir de uma maneira enfática, ou seja, é importante você mandar uma mensagem com uma vitória no sábado?
Ah, com certeza, né? Mostrar para a organização, para o resto da divisão, que eu voltei, que eu estou ativo, que eu vou voltar a trilhar novamente o caminho da divisão do topo da categoria.
Yeah, it's showing to the organization, show the divisions, show people that I'm back in the win column, active, and that I'm going to go back to the top of this division.
And I'm sure you've thought about this, the fight and how it sort of plays out. But in your head, what are your keys to the victory? What needs to happen to make sure that you get your arm raised on Saturday?
Você certamente já pensou nisso, como que a luta, você já deve ter visualizado como é que a luta pode ir, né, na maneira como ela pode ir, mas o que você acha que são as chaves para a vitória, para você sair com uma vitória no sábado?
Com certeza, eu ter paciência e ter calma na minha luta, fazer o meu trabalho, que vai dar tudo certo, eu vou sair com uma grande vitória, uma grande finalização no sábado.
Be patient and be calm about my fight. Know that the plan's going to work, that I'm going to come out with a finish and a win on Saturday.
Obrigado. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
All good? All good?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Well, welcome back. It feels like we just saw you. How are you feeling?
Yeah, feeling good. Feeling good. It's good to be back. Have a busy year.
You like that? You like coming back to back to back to back?
Yeah. No, it's been good. I wanted to have a busy year this year. Get as many fights as I can. So it's been good. Been good to keep it very familiar feeling coming back to fight week. getting more in tune with the body, and just growing and excelling. Going back-to-back camps will do that. You're going to get better. You're going to get more in tune with your body, the way it feels, the fight week. So yeah, it's been a good year.
What did you learn in your last fight that you are going to take into this fight? Any adjustments or anything that you learned from that last fight?
Yeah, it was good to get that fight experience that last fight against a veteran like McDessie. So getting my time in, taking my time, learning when to pull the trigger, different things like that. When you're in there with a guy like that's been around for so long and had so many high-level fights, you're going to learn those little things, and just tweaking a few things like that.
And after fighting John, he fought Nasrat recently. Did you pay close attention to that fight in particular, to kind of see based off the fact that you had just fought John, or do you kind of just look at Nasrat's whole library?
Yeah, I look at his whole everything that he's been doing. There's different fights that I've been taking, and we're watching it all and taking parts from it that we see and that we think that we can do and work well to our advantage.
What do you think of him as an opponent?
He's solid opponent. Fights with a high tempo, good skill. I don't see as much of a danger factor with him, but everyone's dangerous. So I've got to be aware of that. But very skillful fighter.
Do you see this being another 3-round war for you, or do you think you'll be able to get in and out of there pretty quick?
I don't know what's going to happen. I want to finish him. I want to get this done in one, if possible.
And last question for me, is there any disappointment that the fight's not in China with fans, or are you happy to be here in Vegas?
I'm happy to be here in Vegas, but I was looking forward to going to China and going somewhere different. But it's all the same. It's just business. I was just glad that the fight was still going ahead.
Thank you.
Do you see similarities in his style as opposed to your recent fight with McDessie? Both of them kind of brawling styles. Do you see similarities, and is there anything from what you employed in that fight that you think will carry over and work in this one as well?
They're quite different in the sense of even the stance that they hold. So it's been a different approach. I wouldn't say he's a brawler either. I'd say he's a technical brawler. He doesn't just stand there in front of you. He's got good movement. So there's different things to take away. I think he fights a little bit differently, and it's been a good camp adjusting to that style. So yeah.
Did you bring anybody particularly into camp to sort of mimic his style, or just guys in general that you normally work with?
Most of the guys were guys that I work with already. I was lucky enough to have some good southpaw bodies. We brought a few different people from around, like every camp, man. In Australia, we don't have as many bodies, as many members, but the quality's there, just not as many people. So I was getting bodies in from different places and then going down and doing a lot of my sparring at Freestyle, where they've got a lot of good southpaw guys, very good at mimicking his style as well. So it's been a great camp. We've got all the right looks, all the right individuals.
Just a couple quickly, sort of on the outside of you, but give me your thoughts overall on the division. How do you see the division right now, the strength as it compares to maybe some of the other divisions? Do you still feel, or do you feel that the lightweight division is still one of the best divisions in the UFC in terms of the guys at the top of it?
Yeah, I think it's one of the more stacked divisions for sure. Every division's hard. It's the top of the fight world. It's the best organization in the world, but I think that we've just got the most bodies. I think I saw something the other day, like lightweight have 92 rostered UFC fighters, and I think the next nearest was 60 something. So we've just got more people in our division, which is obviously going to make it harder. And that top 15, top 20 is just like tit for tat. Everyone's so very, very competitive. So it's exciting.
And just one last one outside of yourself. Going back to the top of this division, you know, we've heard Dana say that, you know, he thinks Oliveira should be the guy that's fighting next against Islam, but you got guys like Gagey out there calling for it. Arman Sarukian recently had a good performance. He's calling for it. Who do you feel should deserve that shot next?
Man, that's not my call. I got no idea. I would have thought that Gagey would be the next guy, if I'm being honest, from that performance with Poirier. But man, it's like I said, it's tit for tat. Everyone's so close and so highly talented there. So it's an exciting division, man.
And then lastly, back to yourself, you know, looking at Saturday, I'm sure you've envisioned the fight going multiple ways. But what are your keys to the victory? What needs to happen to make sure that you get your arm raised on Saturday?
Yeah, I think being aggressive is going to be the key here. Establishing the center of the cage and fighting my fight. I want to finish. I won't be happy unless I get to finish this Saturday. So I see myself getting my hand raised, but it's going to be a fun fight, I think. I think it's going to be a fan-friendly one.
Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Sweet. Thank you.
Well, welcome back to Vegas and welcome back to your third main event in a row. Is it getting normal for you? Does it still feel special?
Actually, normal, very calm. Nothing special for me. Yeah.
Will you be able to ever have just a regular fight after this, or will you always demand, I have to be main event?
Yes, I want to be every time main event. Is everybody gonna watch you, focus on you,
Was there any disappointment that the fight was moved to Vegas?
Second?
Are you upset or sad that the fight moved to Vegas?
Yes. I'm very disappointed about this. I really want to fight in China because that's my home.
What would that fight have meant to you, having it be there in China?
It's been like 4 years I haven't been fighting in China. So I want to show my family, my friends, all the UFC fans, all the MMA fans, how I've been improved. Just make a good statement, a good state, and a good performance over there.
What do you think of Chris as an opponent?
You mean my Chris opponent?
Yes.
I know a little bit about him before I take in this fight. Definitely his striker had a good footwork, like switch stance. Nothing special.
Do you predict this will be a 5-round war, or do you feel like you can get in and out of there pretty quickly?
Every time I will say I will knock him out quickly.
And last question for me, you're the betting favorite. Does that give you a little bit more pressure knowing that there's a lot of people putting money on you?
就是这场比赛的赔率上面你是大优，这会给你很大的压力吗？因为你知道很多人，
Sorry, I don't care about that. I just focus on myself, Thank you.
Was it difficult trying to find an opponent for you to fight?
Oh, it's very hard because this fight is supposed to in China. Who in the right mind will keep accepting the guy who ranks way lower than you, right? But that shows how much I want to fight in China. Yeah. It's very hard to find an opponent in the top 15.
Was there were you offered other fighters, or was Chris the only one to say yes to fight you?
Yeah, before I asked so many fighters, but I don't tell you the name, but a lot. But they didn't accept the fight, yeah.
And then I just wanted to know who do you think is going to win between Sean O'Malley and Chito Vera in March?
I hope Chito wins the fight and has a rematch with me. But Sean definitely had a more advantage on striking, So I think this fight definitely will be a stand-up fight. So, yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
And how close do you think you are to getting a title shot? Do you think a dominant win over Chris and then another fight gets you to a title shot?
Yeah, win this fight and maybe 2 more next time. Give me top 5 and win next one. And I think they will give me chance to challenge the title. Yeah.
And finally, there were rumors of you fighting Peter Yan. Was that close to happening?
Yeah. UFC did indeed arrange for me to fight Peter in Shanghai, but they never gave me the contract. And actually, we both didn't sign the contract official, yeah.
Is that a fight that you want in the future?
Yeah, definitely. Maybe after the fight, when this fight, I will call him out.
I like it. Good luck.
Thank you.
I don't think I heard it this, but how did the UFC explain to you why this fight was moved from Shanghai to here? What did they say the reason was?
Sorry, sir. I don't know why. I'm just fighter. That's not my part.
What did they at least sort of promise you that the next time that they go to China, that you will be guaranteed to get a spot to go fight over there?
Yeah, I definitely want to fight in China, but get a good opponent, good opportunity. Yeah.
And what are your keys to the victory? What needs to happen to make sure you get your arm raised on Saturday?
Just confidence. You know, I believe myself. Everything. You know, everything he can do, I can do better. Yeah, that's it.
Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
All right, Anthony, well, welcome back. How are you feeling this fight week?
I feel good. Yeah, I feel pretty good. Weight's good. I'm in shape. I don't know. Fight week feels good, so I'm happy to be back.
Can you talk to us a little bit about how this fight came about?
Yeah, so when he was supposed to fight, when Khalil was supposed to fight Dawkins the first time, I think Dawkins got hurt, and they called me initially then. I don't remember where that fight was, but where was it? Vancouver. Maybe. That makes sense. Anyways, when Dawkins fell out, they called me to fight Khalil on short notice then, and then I don't know whether it was Khalil or the UFC decided to not put me in short notice and then push that Dawkins fight back. So that didn't happen the first time, and then I've been looking for a fight. I was trying to fight in January, and they told me to keep an eye on the Rountree Osmat fight and that I would probably fight the winner. So I already was kind of expecting that it was probably going to be Khalil. And then they said that Osmat was out. They wanted me to fight him in Austin, but there was like 6 days or something like that. It was really short notice, and I said I would take the fight, but I couldn't make 205 that fast. So I asked for a catch weight, and everyone was good with the catch weight, but Dana isn't a huge fan of catch weights. So he asked if I would make 205 this weekend, so gave me an extra week to make the weight class. I said, yeah.
So it sounds like there wasn't any hesitation when the fight was approached.
No, I don't. If I'm healthy and not coming off an injury or something like that, I'll always fight.
Bisping said that you took this fight because you're daring to be great. Do you feel like that had any play in the decision?
Maybe. I love fighting, and I want to continue to fight my way towards a title fight, and doing things like this puts you in great positions to do that. Also, sometimes you just want to feel alive. I think that Volkanovski did a really good job of explaining like fighters' mindsets at the highest level. Like if you're not fighting and you're not have a goal or a target in front of you, you kind of spin your wheels a little bit, and you kind of, I don't know, even if things are going really well in your life, you just feel like they're not. And I think I was starting to get to that point where I was just kind of losing it a little bit, and I don't know, I just feel good. I like the matchup, and I don't know, I like doing crazy shit, and taking a fight with Khalil Rountree on like 10 days' notice is pretty crazy.
How do you see the fight going?
I like Khalil's style, actually. As weird as it sounds, I'm kind of disappointed he's not fighting Osmat because that's a really good fight. Two really fast strikers. Both of them are they fight really well from the southpaw stance. Khalil's crazy powerful, crazy explosive. I'm a fan of his game. But I know he's on a 4-fight winning streak and he's feeling himself, but not all 4-fight winning streaks are created equal. There's some of those guys he's supposed to beat. With all due respect, I'm not trying to get in some dust up with Khalil, but I thought that he lost the Dustin Jacoby fight. I'd probably say a lot of people would. It was probably 50-50. It was really close. Yeah, I like the matchup. I think that I have a clear advantage on the ground. I don't think that's a secret. He's hard to take down. That's also not a secret. If I stand in front of him, he's gonna tattoo me. So I think it's fairly straightforward. I don't think there's a lot of secrets going into this one.
And I was wondering if I could just ask you a couple current event questions.
Yeah.
Ian Gary, everyone's talking about Ian Gary right now. What's your opinion about Ian Gary and maybe the rumors that he's not behaving himself in several gyms?
I think that I'm going to tiptoe around this one because I think at one point in time we've all kind of been Ian Gary. I think that, he's young and he's got so much popularity and so many fans and there's so many eyes on him that maybe a lot of us did maybe some of the shit that Ian Gary has done or is doing, and it just wasn't highlighted as much as Ian Gary maybe. I'm not a huge fan of the bringing cameras into the gym and like he creates this illusion maybe that he's larger than he is. But I get it. I understand that he's trying to do really great things and he believes in himself and I never ever speak on anybody's personal life publicly. It's kind of weird, but you know, like that's their lives. You know what I mean? They can do whatever they want, and he'll figure it out one way or the other. Anytime I've been around him, he's been nothing but respectful to me. His wife has been nothing but kind when I'm around. Ian and I have the same manager, so we do find ourselves in the same places often. I wouldn't say we're friends or hang out, but every interaction I've ever had with him is positive. I will say though, the one thing that I will like be very strong about with Ian Gary is the Neil Magny thing. Really fucking bothers me. But I've known Neil, I've 15 years, you know, like a large portion of my career. I've never seen Neil do anything that I would speak out against. I've never heard of a bad story about Neil Magny. So the whole thing with the kids and it's one thing to like create some drama and create some buzz around a fight, but not at the expense of the reputation of someone that's as good of a man as Neil Magny. That's the one kind of strong opinion I have on it. But other than that, I've had great experiences with him.
Thoughts on Alex winning the title?
I'm happy for him. I mean, just because I want to beat someone up and I want to take the title off him doesn't mean that I can't be impressed or happy with what he does. What's he got, like seven UFC fights? He's beat 3 champions. That's crazy. A champion in 2 different divisions. I thought that it would go similar to that. He's so tough on his feet, and he's like physically he's so imposing. I think everything Alex is doing is great. I'd just like to take it from him, but I think both those things can be true at the same time.
Last one for me, the most important one. As a Chiefs fan, I gotta know, what do you think of the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift? Is it real?
I think it's real. I'm a hardcore Chiefs fan, so as long as he's performing, he can do whatever he wants. I think at the end of the day, Travis Kelce's been in the NFL forever, and he's done it all. So I hope that this is like the dad in me speaking here. I hope that like if football isn't the most important thing in his life anymore, like if it's seems like he's a little bit distracted, I'm happy for that. I wouldn't be mad if Travis Kelce went and retired and was Taylor Swift's biggest cheerleader on the road. I think that'd be cool. But yeah, I think it's real. I think it's cool. I think it's a wild story, especially him reaching out like randomly through the media and slipping his phone number, and he like shot his shot for all of us losers. It's kind of cool. I dig it. Thank you.
Do they show her too much on the games though?
Okay, so I go to all the home games. So you never see anything Taylor Swift at the home games. It's only on TV. So when you watch it on the TV, it does get a little irritating. Like you want to see the replay of the touchdown, but it's really Taylor Swift drunk, like going crazy. Like I kind of rather see the replay, but maybe a little bit.
I know you want that title more than anything else, but to be able to take it off Alex, would that be a nice little extra sweetener for you?
I think it would mean more. I think that since John left, it's the title's been kind of playing hot potato a little bit. And really, all I've ever wanted is like my journey to be recognized, So I think taking it off of Alex would validate me. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody could really say anything about that. I think that people would have to respect that. I think it's a tall task. I think it's a really tough fight, and that means something as well. I think that would mean a lot to me.
You mentioned John Jones. It just came into my mind. I'm curious what your take is on the whole, like, should he have the title? Should he be stripped of the title and then just fight Stipe for a legacy belt? Like, what's your sort of position on that?
Guys, you all know how I feel about John Jones. And I hate when you guys ask me questions where I have to say nice things about him. John Jones can do whatever the fuck he wants, really. Like, he's earned that. He's not been known as a guy that pulls out of fights. He's never, for whatever anybody says about him, he's never strayed from a challenge. Like he's always taken on the next best guy. And I think in terms of him and Stipe, I think both those guys should be able to do whatever they want. I think they've earned it. I think that they deserve it. And like, do we really want to miss another super fight? Like, how long did we talk about Anderson Silva and GSP and Anderson and John Jones and Habib and whoever, you know what I mean? Like, we've done this back and forth, like, we want all these super fights, and now we have the opportunity for one, and everyone's calling for John to get stripped of his title. Like, let's not fuck this one up. Let's just let him heal up. Let's let it. And I know it makes absolutely no sense for, there to be an interim champion and John to defend against someone who's not. But I mean, we're not like other sports. I think we can kind of change the rules sometimes and just give the fans and the people what they want.
Special cases for special people, basically.
I think so. Yeah, I agree with that.
You opened up as a kind of a big underdog, and he's like a minus 250 favorite over.
Damn.
Is that
nice?
Is that kind of crazy to you?
No, man, it's par for the course these days. Like, I mean, if you go back and you look at his last couple fights, he looks like an absolute savage. He's stomping people, and his finishes are so brutal. Like, it's easy to. I get it.
Did Dustin give you any tips on to fight Khalil?
Oh yeah. There's been a lot of people who give me a lot of tips about fighting Khalil. I don't know what's up with that, but I always thought he was fairly liked. But a lot of people have given me lots of tips on Khalil. But yeah, Dustin was in there with him for a long time. Again, I think Dustin won that fight, but it was really, really close. I think Dustin made that fight harder than he needed to. And both of them are very good at what they do, and both of them were very content doing what they're comfortable doing. It's kind of standing in the middle, stay in front of each other, and play that game of kind of be a sniper and play darts. And Khalil was just was a little bit ahead. But I can't do what Dustin Jacoby does. That guy's really special in terms of his striking. So even if I wanted to, I couldn't fight Khalil the way that Dustin did.
Like you said, the division's kind of like in a weird spot. There's no clear next opponent other than Jamal.
Man, I'm trying.
Right.
I'm trying, bro.
But I mean, so Jamal says he's going to come back, but torn Achilles, who knows when he's going to really come back. But there's a shot you go out there, you do what you do to Khalil. Alex might just call your name, right? So I mean, are you kind of looking at this fight like you win this fight dominantly? Alex calls your name, you're fighting for the title next.
I just think I just need to not give him any other option. I know champions always want to feel like they make all the decisions, but if there is no clear contender and I go in there and I look really good and put myself in a position where people start asking for it, then that's the fight. But we got to hurry up and do it quick because we got Ankalaev and Johnny Walker fighting and then Rakic and Blachowicz. Like, let's do it quick, and then hopefully they just want to sign it really fast before those guys fight.
And this is a random one. What was the thought process of getting that dream catcher on your back?
So my wife is Native, and so my kids are part Native, and they're really, really in tune with their culture. So Christmas and holidays, and like they're burning sage. We go to powwows all summer long, and my mom was always really big into dream catchers, and so they were all over our house. They were everywhere. Every room had several dream catchers in it. Depending on who you ask, dream catchers are supposed to, let the dreams through and catch the nightmares, or catch the nightmares and let the dream. You know what I mean? It depends on who you ask, but that's kind of the idea. I'm just a dream chaser and living this wild and crazy life.
Thanks, man.
Mm-hmm.
I know to take yourself out of it, to put you back into like a fight analyst role.
Mm-hmm.
Just one last one going on Alex. When you look at his skill set, does he have the skill set to be able to stay a champion when you look at the guys that are right up there in the rankings?
Well, there's a couple guys that are going to give him problems for sure. I think Ankalaev stands out. For Alex's style, that's a really tough one. Is he beatable? For sure. Like Alex has got this unique ability to kind of make people fight differently. Some of it is the fear and his power and stuff like that. So I think Ankalaev is a really tough matchup. I think I'm a tough matchup, just my style. He's got a lot of power in tight, but I do a good job of making people uncomfortable. I think if I could get a takedown, if I could get him to a position like Jan Blachowicz, I promise I wouldn't be on his back for 5 minutes without a finish. And Blachowicz is a great grappler. He's just not a huge submission threat all the time. But he does let people get him into some weird positions, so I think I could take advantage of some of those. I do think Ankalaev's a really tough matchup, though. But for his style, there's not a whole shit ton of real powerful wrestlers and guys that are going to grind on him. He definitely has the ability to hold on to it for a bit. Absolutely.
And I know you said jumping him into this fight, you wanted to stay active, you want to stay busy.
Mm-hmm.
Is there benefits that us on the outside, when it comes to a short notice fight, are there some benefits that we don't really take into account? Like when you think of a short notice fight, what are the benefits that you see initially for you?
Well, as long as you're in halfway decent shape, there's a lot of benefits. I didn't take the day-to-day 2 and 3 times a day pounding on my body that he just went through. I feel really fresh and relaxed and like excited. Whereas sometimes when you get through a long camp, you're just trying to fucking get through it. You know, you're just trying to, like, fight week's there and you're like every day drags and you just want the fight to be there and hurry up. Like, I'm not in that position mentally where I'm just wishing that it was over, you know. Maybe that sounds like it's not that big of a deal, but it absolutely is. I think just mentally, I'm probably in a better place. Maybe not a better place than he is, but I'm in a great place. Just there's a lot of excitement for me and like anticipation and you know, my weight's good, but you know, if the weight thing is absolutely. I mean, he's been in camp, had to, you know, watching his diet, and I've only had to do it for 2 weeks. I think the stress too, just not thinking about it every day. You know, like he went from one opponent to another and just did that in his last fight. So he was fighting Dawkins, then it got pushed. Then he's got to kind of cycle his training camp, and then he's got to fight Dawkins. Then he was ready for Azamat, which is a totally different style than I am. Azamat is a short, stocky southpaw that's really fast, and I'm none of those things. You know what I mean? I'm not short, I'm not stocky, I'm not a southpaw, and I'm not that fucking fast. So I only have to adjust to his style. I didn't have to change my training camp, you know what I mean? So I think there's some advantages.
And then when you look at your last opponent, Ryan Spann, another strong striker, tall, long limbs. Here you're getting another strong striker. Are there similarities between the two of them? And in a sense, was the last matchup tougher than this matchup for you due to a lot of people thought Spann had maybe some better submission skills?
Well, they do very different things. I think that in terms of like their killer instinct, I think that, especially going into the second fight, I think Khalil's going to be more willing to get into a firefight and engage, whereas Ryan Spann did that one time and it didn't work out, so he was a little more tentative the second time. To his credit, he made a lot of really good adjustments in that second fight, and I thought he fought really well. I thought Ryan Spann grew a lot in our second fight, just mentally. You know, Ryan hasn't always been known as the guy that can fight from behind and come back and swing the momentum the other direction, and he was really battling at that and trying to fight his way back into it. Which I don't know. I think that although it's a loss, I think he probably learned a lot about himself in our last fight. In terms of, yeah, I mean, it's another big scary black guy that hits hard. You know what I mean? It's they are very similar in that aspect as far as just their athleticism and their speed and the things that they can do. I don't suspect Khalil is going to be jumping submissions or looking to grapple. I hope so, but I don't see that happening. But yeah, there's definitely some similarities. I think power-wise, they're very similar.
And you kind of mentioned a little bit earlier about wanting to stay busy, but you're fighting backwards. Is there, in a sense, is this kind of a no-win situation because you're taking the risk of fighting the guy with a lower rank, or if you get a win regardless, does that matter?
The rankings are for people on Twitter and you guys. You know, like we don't really pay attention to that too much, and to be very honest, the UFC doesn't really pay that much attention to it either. Rankings are it's like a marketing machine. You know, it's really easy to make people care about something more if there's numbers next to their names, but like the UFC they understand how tough of a position I put myself in, and how hard it is to come in on short notice and beat a guy like Khalil, and even harder like to look good doing it. So like I think if you come in and you put yourself in these precarious positions and do hard things, I think you get rewarded for that. So I truly believe that the people on Twitter really care about the rankings, but us as fighters don't really think about it that much.
Last for me, I guess, your keys to the victory. What needs to happen to make sure you get your arms raised on Saturday?
Pressure. It's pressure. If you let Khalil Rountree sit back and be super comfortable and stand in the middle of the octagon and kind of dictate the range, you're going to have a long fucking night. It's going to be a real bad night. So you got to put pressure on him, not just physical, but mental. You got to make him work. You got to make him think. You got to put him in positions mentally and physically that he isn't expecting. There's nothing worse than ending up in a fight that's harder than you thought it was going to be. And I get it, man. I read what people say. I know what people are saying about me, that maybe he's done, maybe he should go hang out at the desk, maybe his better days are behind him. You can't be an opponent that's standing across from me and not hear it too. So is he mentally strong enough to ignore that and look at the tape and look at what I've done and how long I've been around and the things I'm capable of and identify me as a real threat? Or is it like, oh, this is the old guy that, you know, he's 1 foot in, 1 foot out? Because if that's the mentality he has, it's going to be a really long night for him too.
Is that how you feel? I'm not on Twitter all that much. Is that what you feel? Are you feeling that's what a lot of people say about you out there? Are you coming in there with a chip on the shoulder a little bit to prove?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I listen, I get it. Like sometimes I go in there and I have an off night. Like sometimes I let guys sneak behind the wire sometimes. You know, like if it's not that I've never put the work in or that I'm not always in training or that I'm not physically prepared. Sometimes I think I take my eye off the ball. You know, it's like, I think Johnny Walker is a great example of that, you know, that I don't think I gave him not that I underestimated him because I know how dangerous he was, but I think I just didn't think about him that much. I just went into practice and did my thing and I left and then I got all this, you know what I mean? I got a lot of stuff. So I just didn't think about him that much. And sometimes that happens to me where I'm just not as focused on the individual person. And you know, the results show what they show. I get a little bit, I think if I'm indifferent to someone is when I get in trouble. Like if I really like you or I really don't like you, then I think I have my best performances. But if I'm indifferent is when I get myself in trouble and I don't know, I just lose focus a little bit. And, you know, Dan Hardy and Kenny Florian have been long saying that I'm the guy that gets in the middle of a fight and if it's not crazy enough, I get bored and distracted. And I mean, I don't think that they're necessarily wrong. But Khalil's not that guy, you know what I mean? I think that's what's exciting about this one. Like, you can't take your eye off the ball with a guy like this. He'll take your head right off your shoulders, which is why I wanted this fight. Like, that's exciting for me. That fear factor, that, you know, that real weird pit in your stomach right before you walk out, like, that's exciting for me.
Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you. Good. Thanks, guys.
Played this music for you to relax you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, sweet guy.
Well, welcome back to Vegas. How are you feeling?
이 정도는 알아듣죠.
이 정도는 알아들어?
뭐 항상 똑같습니다. 뭐 이제 한 7번째인가요? 라스베가스. 뭐 편하고 좋은데 배고픈 것 빼고는 다 좋습니다.
I feel the same. I feel like this has probably been like the 7th time I'm here. I feel comfortable, and the only thing is probably the downside is that I'm very hungry.
Are you a little bit disappointed that this fight is not taking place in Asia?
동양 쪽에 안에서 좀 안타까운 건지.
아, 중국에서 시합을 안 해서 지금 상관없습니다. 저는 뭐 라스베가스를 너무 좋아하기 때문에 라스베가스 싸우는 거 뭐 장소가 어디가 됐든 저는 12월 10일 날만 싸울 수만 있으면 됩니다.
It really doesn't matter to me. Honestly, you know, Las Vegas. I've been here quite a few times. As long as I'm able to fight on December 9th. Well, you said December 10th for Korea, but December 9th. That's all that matters to me.
What do you think of your opponent?
상대에 대해서 어떻게 생각해?
상대에 대해서 생각을 많이 해봤는데 우선 그라운드가 정말 좋은 선수라고 생각합니다. 그라운드가 정말 좋고 사우스포에 팔다리가 무척 긴 선수로 보고 있어서 아마 타격 거리도 제가 생각했던 것보다는 좀 길 것 같습니다. 사정 거리가.
So I've thought about him a lot. Went over things. He does have a really good ground game, but then when it comes to his southpaw stance, his reach, his legs and arms reach, is a lot of things I have to consider, especially with the distance that I have to keep in mind during the match.
How do you think this fight's going to go? Do you feel like you're going to get another finish, or do you think it may take all 3 rounds?
이번 시합은 어떻게 생각하는지 3라운드까지 갈 건지 아니면 전처럼 서미션으로 끝낼 건지.
항상 저는 시합을 15분 내내 싸우는 거를 생각을 하고 있고요. 제가 봤을 때는 15분 내내 아마 그라운드 게임, 타격, 공방전이 계속 되지 않을까 생각하고 있습니다.
Yeah, I always practice thinking that I'm going to do the long 50-minute fight, but who knows how this is going to turn out, whether it's going to be in the ground or face-to-face targeting.
Are we going to see a dance if you win?
이번 이기게 되면 춤출 건지.
제가 이 질문을 진짜 한 50분 받은 것 같아요. 모든 사람들한테.
He's saying that he honestly had gotten this question maybe over 50 times.
이기면 저는 뭐 따로 그렇게 생각을 하는 사람이 아니라서 예. 항상 저는 느낌대로 사는 사람이어서 아무 생각 없습니다.
Yeah. If I win, it's not something that I plan. It just goes by feel. So who knows? You might see it today.
아무 생각 없이 살아요.
I live without thinking.
Thank you.
Do you feel like you got a little bit more popular since your last fight and that dance that went so viral?
저번 시합이랑 이 춤춘 거랑 보면 그것 때문에 더 뭐랄까 더 커졌는지.
뭐가요?
관쟁들이 더 커졌는지.
네?
이 마지막 시합 이기고 나서
예.
그 춤이랑 했을 때 그거 덕분에 관쟁들이 더 많아진 건지.
관객들이 많은 한국에 계신 분들이 춤에 대해서는 많이 물어보시더라고요. 시합보다 춤을 더 많이 물어보시니까 좀 시합을 많이 물어봤으면 좋겠는데 춤을 많이 물어보시더라고요.
A lot of fans in Korea, they don't really talk about my fight. They talk about my dance. So, all I ask is that please just watch my match.
나는 댄서가 아니고 나는 격투기 선수인데.
I'm not a dancer. I'm a fighter.
Are you excited that are you excited and more motivated that you finally got a top 15 matchup?
이번에 탑 15 상대를 잡았다는 게 이번에 더 기분이 좋은지.
뭔 소리예요?
이번 랭커 파이트를 샵을 잡게 됐는데 그거에 대해서 기분이 더 좋은지.
뭐 랭킹은 따로 생각을 하고는 성격이 아니라서 그냥 시합이 오면 시합 열심히 준비해서 꼭 이기는 시합을 해서 파이터만을 받고 신나게 먹고 놀고 다시 훈련하고 이게 제 지금 파이터 모토입니다.
I'm not really the type that thinks about things like that. More the type that let me get a fight, let me win this fight, train really hard, and then let me enjoy my food, and then get back into training again.
Every time drink.
And then finally, since you last fought, there was a new champion in your division, Sean Strickland. I just wanted your thoughts on Sean as being a champion.
지금 최근에 네 체중급에
네?
지금
제 미들급에?
미들급 체중에 지금 션 스트리클랜이 챔피언이 됐는데 그 부분에 대해서 어떻게 생각하는지.
저는 션 스트링랜드 정말 좋아합니다. 스트링랜드 선수 같은 선수가 진짜 파이터라고 생각해요. 진짜 상대 안 가리고 그냥 다 싸워버리고 진짜 멋있는 선수라고 생각합니다.
Yeah, I really enjoy and love Sean Strickland. He's an all-around fighter that doesn't back out. He'll take the fights and take the hits and continue moving on.
하지만 그 사람의 생각을 사상이랑 저 세상이랑 달라요.
But again, I don't think about that between Sean Strickland and me.
Have you been approached by any K-pop bands to be a backing dancer?
K-pop 가수들한테 혹시 연락이 왔는지 백업 댄서로.
지금 여기 계신 기자분들 아메리칸 갓 탤런터 심사위원 같은데?
He's saying that you as a reporters, I feel like I'm in front of America's Got Talent.
Last one on that. So are you team BTS or team Blackpink?
또 지금 팀 BTS인지 아니면 팀 블랙핑크인지.
그거는 엄마가 좋아 아빠가 좋아 같습니다.
You're that's the type of question that you're asking me if do I like my mom or my dad?
Both of them, huh? I'll take that. Fair enough. Coming in on a 4-fight win streak, you know, you're fighting better than ever. You know, what's been the keys to the success? Why are you fighting so good right now?
지금 4연승인데 어느 부분에 대해서 네가 실력인지 훈련인지 뭐를 한 게 지금 잘 돼가고 있는 거를 물어보는데.
다시 한번.
그러니까 4연승이고 지금까지 잘 나가고
이겨왔는데
있는데 이기고 있는데
이기는 비결이 뭐냐? 항상 안 되는 부분을 계속 시도하고 꾸준함인 것 같아요. 항상 아침에 일어나면 러닝을 하고 또 체육관 나가서 훈련을 하고 저녁에 또 기술 연습을 하고 이게 시간이 지나면 지날수록 지금 쌓여왔던 게 지금 뿌리라 그러죠. 식물도 뿌리 씨앗을 놓으면 이제 뿌리가 내려가다가 이제 조금씩 이제 싹이 트는 것 같습니다.
So overall, it's like a plant in the roots of the plant. So I continue practicing techniques that doesn't work out to where I get better at it, and then I continue doing my daily routine of running in the morning, going to the gym in the afternoon, and then just continuing that cycle until until I get better.
이런 말이 있잖아요. 머리가 기억하는 게 아니라 몸이 기억하는 기술이 진짜 기술이다.
It's not my mind that remembers, but it's my body that.
그냥 세포가 발행해서 나오는 기술들.
It's something that just comes out naturally as a technique overall.
그 정도로 연습을 한다 이겁니다.
I just continually practice.
And I guess with practice and stuff, a lot of times nutrition is a big part of things. But I always hear you talking about being hungry. So when you're back home, what do you typically eat? Do you eat differently in fight camp as you do just in normal life? And what does your normal diet sort of consist of?
훈련만 아니라 체중이나 먹는 거에 대해서 물어보는데 혹시 캠프 안 할 때, 훈련을 안 할 때, 시합 전 훈련 안 할 때 무슨 음식을 먹는지 아니면 같은 음식을 먹는지라고 물어보는데.
거의 그러니까 비시즌이라 그러죠. 비시즌 때는 거의 다 먹는 것 같습니다. 아시잖아요, 먹는 양. 근데 평일에는 식단을 좀 하긴 하는데 이거 할 때는 그냥 막 먹는다고.
So normally on my off seasons, and he's pointing to me, you know how I eat. He enjoys eating. His amounts, it's just insane. But especially when I drink, there's no stopping. But other than that, I definitely do control when it comes to fight camp and stuff like that.
Hey, again drink, drink, again eat, again drink.
I live that same way too, as you can tell. Your opponent's coming in on a couple losses. Typically, sometimes that might add extra pressure onto a fighter. Do you feel that your opponent Muniz is going to come in here fighting maybe a little bit different and maybe feeling that pressure when he comes into this fight?
혹시 지금 상대 무니스가 지금 몇 번 졌고 지금 부담이 더 가질까라는 생각을 들까 싶다는 너도 그렇게 생각하는지 혹시
상대가 부담을 갖겠다.
지금 계속 지니까
아마 저라도 만약에 상대가 상대 입장에서 생각을 하게 된다면 아무래도 부담이 있을 수밖에 없을 것 같아요. 그래서 더 간절함? 진짜 벼랑 끝에 있는 느낌일 거예요. 그래서 약간 저도 물론 벼랑 끝에 있지만 그 선수도 분명 벼랑 끝에 있을 거란 말이에요. 그래서 간절함, 그게 무서운 부분인데 저도 그 무서운 부분을 인지하고 있고 최대한 그 부분에서 안 지려고 지금 생각하고 있습니다.
Yeah, if I was in his shoes, I would definitely feel the same with that pressure, especially with what his recent record has been through. Definitely, but for me, with that pressure, I kind of honor that and try and overcome, through my mind to overcome that to do the fight.
And I think most people, when they look at this, they think that he's going to try to get the fight to the ground since most of his victories come through submissions. You have good submissions as well. But do you think his goal in the fight is going to be to try to get you onto the ground? And if that happens, will your skill set be ready for that?
많은 사람들이 지금 얘기하는 게 상대가 너를 서미션으로 아니면 그라운드로 이길 거라는 생각을 하고 있는데 혹시 너는 그 부분에 대해서 준비를 돼 있는지 그리고 어떻게 해서 할 건지.
다른 사람들의 생각은 신경 쓰지 않습니다. 그리고 상대가 그렇게 생각한다면 그라운드를 조심해야겠네요.
He really doesn't mind what people think, how it's going to pan out. But if that's the case, I guess I'll definitely have to get ready for my ground game.
Keys to the victory. What needs to happen to make sure that you get your arm raised on Saturday?
이번 토요일 날 네가 뭐를 해야 네가 이길 수 있다는 목적인지.
평정심을 잃지 않고 급하지 않게 상대의 게임이 아닌 제 게임 플랜으로 데려오는 게 이 시합의 킥 포인트인 것 같아요.
Yeah, definitely take my time, stay calm, and get my opponent to where I'm in control of my game plan that I have ready for.
상대가 굉장히 그라운드에서 피니시 능력이 좋은 선수이기 때문에 암바라든지 트라이앵글 초크라든지 굉장히 좋은 선수여서 뭐 조금이라도 약간 방심을 하게 된다면은 무서운 기술들이 들어올 거라고 알고 있으니까 최대한 긴장을 늦추지 않고 집중할 겁니다.
Yeah, he's definitely a strong ground fighter, and especially with his armbar techniques. And he expects that there might be other techniques that might come about that he wants to prepare himself. His main goal is to keep calm and continue on throughout what he trained.
And then a silly one outside of your fight game. In the past, you recommended Hajime no Ippo to me. I want to know if there's any other Japanese anime or possibly some Hanguk animation that you maybe recommend for me.
혹시 전에 이제 장난감으로 저번에 네가 그 아나메 쪽에서
네?
추천을 했잖아.
예? MMA요?
애니메이션.
애니메이션.
애니메이션을 추천했는데 이번에 뭐 한국 애니메이션 같은 거 추천할 게 있는지.
한국 애니메이션.
아니면 네가 좋아하는 거.
내가 좋아하는. 그때 요즘 보는 애니메이션은 더 파이팅이라는 재패니스 애니메이션인데 복싱 애니메이션이에요. 복싱.
He's mentioning about the Japanese animation, the boxing. Yeah, that's probably the same thing.
그거랑
저번에도 그걸
넷플릭스에 하나 있어요. 넷플릭스에 겐간 아슈라라고. 겐간 아슈라.
There's a new one on Netflix. He's mentioning.
그거는 격투기 만화예요.
Just as it's like a fight type animation, but it's on Netflix. He says.
재밌어요.
He says very fun.
I'll check it out. Good. Thank you.
Unfortunately, I don't watch animation, so.
Yeah.
I
watch way too much of it.
I'm sorry, baby English.
Well, welcome back. How are you feeling?
Thank you. Very good. I'm excited.
Are you more excited to be kind of fighting more regularly now? I know you have 2 back-to-back wins, but they're a year apart.
Yeah. Because last year I had 5 surgeries, as I told the team last time. Now I'm healthy, and I just fought recently in September. And Sean Shelby and Ali gave me a great fight and to close the year with a bang.
How important is it to be active when you have those win streaks going, especially to keep the momentum going?
I think it's very important, but more important is the health. If you're not healthy and you keep fighting like every second month and then not to your full potential, this is not smart. If you're healthy, even if it takes a year, you come back, you are healthy, you train well. I think this is more important than fight, let's say, 5 times a year, but on half capacity. And now I'm healthy, I want to be active, no injuries, I'm going to keep going.
When you're going through those times where you are getting your body healthy, what do you do to keep your mind healthy and positive and keep yourself motivated knowing you are going to come back?
I just love the sport. I do this since I'm 13 years old. I know nothing else, you know. Since I'm 13, I'm training every day, twice a day. This is my life. This is how I grew up in the UFC. I'm in the UFC. This is my 6th year now. I signed with the UFC when I was still a kid. I grew up in that octagon, and this is what I love. This is my biggest love, my biggest passion, and this keeps me motivated.
What do you think of your opponent?
I think Jamie's a good fighter. His nickname is Hooligan, and I'm excited for a big fight on Saturday. I'm coming for violence. This I guarantee.
What are you expecting from him? It sounds like you're expecting violence, but do you expect a 3-round war with him, or do you feel like you'll have one really good round and then get to finish maybe in the second? What's your thoughts on how the fight will go?
I don't like to predict fights because a fight is a fight. It's always 50-50. You fight a guy who he have also this is 10th UFC fight, so maybe he's going to be different. From his last recent fights, we saw he's a little bit gun shy. He got dropped from Magdesi. He got dropped before. And he's in the beginning of his UFC career. He was more kind of crazy. He fought like really like the hooligan. Now he became a little bit gun shy. This is what I see. He maybe gonna try to wrestle me. Even if he's trying to wrestle me, I'm well prepared for everything, and I'm excited for 15 minutes of violence.
You mentioned Magdesi. He fought him recently. Was there anything that you watched in that fight, having already fought Magdesi yourself, that you were able to kind of carry maybe into this fight?
No, Magdesi is he's a unique fighter. He have his own style, like Taekwondo, Karate. If you don't know how to fight this kind of style, it makes the fight a little bit like boring or tricky. And we saw that Magdesi did a great job. In my opinion, Magdesi won that fight, and they robbed him big time, very unfortunately, but it's okay. This is the game, you know, and I was not impressed with either Magdesi or Mullarkey's performance, but Mullarkey is a great fighter. He had great fights. He fought some good guys. He fought Jalen Turner, Brett Riddell. He have some good names on his resume, and I don't underestimate him, but I'm very, very self-confident for a good fight.
Was there any disappointment that the fight was here in Vegas versus China, or do you prefer to be fighting here than in China?
Actually, I was excited to fight in Shanghai. I got my visa. I was excited to travel there, and short notice, they called me, hey, your fight got moved. It is what it is. This is my 3rd fight in the Apex. I love also to fight in the Apex because this is kind of like sparring feeling. And I like in front of a big crowd in a different city or here. For me, it doesn't matter because the fight, I'm locked with the guy in the cage. Doesn't matter where.
Thank you.
You were scheduled to fight him earlier, and then that fight didn't happen. Granted, it wasn't that long ago, but so did you already feel that the game plan was already laid out then, or did you see anything in his recent fights that you had to change up anything for this particular fight?
Actually, of course, we watched some tape. In the beginning of the year, I was supposed to fight him in Australia, but then I needed hand surgery, so we didn't even really start the training camp because I was injured, and. He have some habits. Of course, we study his habits. We prepared for his habits. But the fight is a fight. Maybe on Saturday he's gonna come in. He's gonna have a different game plan. He's gonna be a bit different approach. We never know. So of course we prepare for the worst. But mostly I prepare on my own strength, from where I'm good at. I'm preparing for, and I'm gonna put my game plan on him.
And just I wasn't aware. So you said you had a hand surgery that you had to come back from. How are your hands now?
Oh, they are very, very good. I had a hand surgery with the best surgeon in the world, Dr. Shen in Los Angeles. He took great care. And after this, I just fought in September. They felt amazing, no injuries anymore. alhamdulillah, and I'm ready. I'm healthy, ready to throw some hands.
That's awesome. You know, and I was asking your opponent his thoughts on, give me your thoughts on the overall division, the strength of the lightweight division. How strong do you feel that the overall division is at the top?
Oh, the lightweight division is the hardest division, of course. Look at the top 20, top 30. Everybody's good, you know. Then you see flyweight, bantamweight, or some divisions you think like top 15 guys, they just put them in because there are no other fighters. But the lightweight division is the deepest division and the competition is very high. For example, my last 3 guys I lost to, they're all today in the top 15, Bobby Green, Dan Hooker, or Drew Dober. And the quality of fighters in this division is very, very big. It's a hard division for sure.
And I know a lot of people, everybody's calling for Islam. Everybody wants to be next. You know, you got Gagey over there asking for it. Recently, Arman Sarukian was asking for it. Of course, Dana says he thinks that Oliveira should be the one to get that fight back. Who do you think should get the shot next?
I think Oliveira, maybe Gaethje. Dustin Poirier had so many title shots, even Justin Gaethje. But I think from the name and from the potential to make it a big fight is Charles Oliveira versus Islam.
And then one last one for this particular fight. What do you need to do to make sure that your arms get raised on Saturday? What are your keys to the victory?
Just being my best, you know. The fight is so much mentally because you prepare months, and then you need to work this 50 minutes. You need to be sharp. Your mind need to be focused, and all your skills you need to be ready to bring them during the fight. Not you train 1 year, let's say the best skills in the fight. You go. So many people, they have mental issues. They go into the fight, they are not the same. And I am very confident in bringing my best performance on Saturday. And I know that I'm better everywhere. But I'm looking forward for a good striking battle if he wants to.
Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
How are you feeling? It's fight week. How are the feelings and the emotions coming into fight week?
感觉很好，对。有一点不一样，就是我这次体重协商到61公斤，所以不用太多的去降重，我觉得这就很开心。
He said he feel great and he feel pretty happy because the new agreement of the weight, he don't have to cutting weight, so he feeling pretty happy about that.
Where were you when you got the call that your opponent had changed, and what were you notified? What did the UFC tell you why Nascimento had to drop out?
他说你当时 UFC 是怎么跟你说你对手会取消的？然后你当时的心情是什么样？
当时是我的经纪，我正在训练，我跟宋亚东正在训练，然后训练了一半儿差不多，我经纪人给我说我的对手退赛了，然后我当时还不信，我以为他们跟我开玩笑，然后后面我看了文件，确实是退赛了，当时就很无语。
He said, I was training with Song Yadong, and in the middle of the training, my agent called me, tell me my opponent is pulling out, can't fight with me in this fight. In the beginning, I thought they were joking with me. I won't believe them till I saw the paper, and then it's weird feeling. I don't know. I got nothing to say at that moment.
Did he know right then that he was fighting Tim Elliott, or were they still trying to find him an opponent at the point when they told him the fight was off?
他说你知道他们还在想他还想跟别的对手打，或者在配赛。
对，差不多，过了几个小时，然后 UFC 说会给我重新找对手。那个时候我很开心啊，我觉得我备战了很久，控制体重很久，所以我希望就是不管是哪一个对手，只要能给我安排上比赛，我觉得我就很开心，对。
He said after a few hours, UFC called him back, say they will try them best to get a new opponent for him, and he's really happy about that.
And then when you're given that name, what are your initial thoughts as Tim as an opponent? Where is he dangerous, and what are you expecting to see in this fight?
当你刚知道你新对手的名字的时候，你第一个想法是什么？你觉得哪里是他最危险的地方？哪里是你的机会？
第一想法就是经验很唠叨，经验很丰富，对。
My first thought after I got the name is, this guy got a lot of experience in UFC.
因为他打了很久的 UFC， 对，我知道他。
Because he's been around for quite a long time, I know this guy.
And normally you both fight at flyweight, but this fight's going to be at bantamweight. What are the benefits of this at being at 35?
说这个新体重对你有什么优势吗？你觉得？
我觉得新的体重最大的优势就是，现在不用降重，然后差不多还有2磅左右就可以达到这个标准的体重，所以这就是怎么说呢？就是我中午还吃了1大碗米饭。
He said the biggest advantage is he don't need cut weight this time, and he only got 2 pounds left till the weight, so he had a big bowl of the rice. This lunch today, it's never happened with him before.
I was going to say, you're a very big flyweight. What do you normally, if you don't mind me asking, what do you normally walk around at? What weight do you normally walk around at?
在 flyweight 里算体型比较大的，他想问一下你平时的体重是多少？
我其实平时体重差不多也就65、66公斤左右。
He said my working weight is 65 to 66 kilogram.
And I'm sure you've envisioned this fight many different ways. How do you envision this fight playing down? Is this going to be a brawl in the middle of the ring, or are you going to have a chance to show some different sort of skills? How do you see this fight playing out?
这个比赛你计划怎么打？你在脑子里是怎么想的？
没有什么计划这次，因为我觉得我的对手也没有计划，我知道。怎么说呢？他的打法很另类，所以我觉得就是见招拆招吧。
He said he got no plan for this fight, and he thinking, of course, his opponent maybe don't have any plan also, and his opponent's style is quite unique in UFC, so he will just say what his opponent will do, and he just get back to him.
Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
祝你好运。
One quick one for me. It's been over a year since you fought. Why the long layoff?
Sorry, pardon?
It's been over a year since he's fought. Why the long layoff?
就是你跟上一场比赛打过了1年了，为什么这么长？
因为其实我打上一场比赛之前就我的膝盖 ACL 撕裂，然后上场比赛打完我做了个手术，一直在做康复和训练。
I tore my ACL before my last fight, and after my last fight, I had an operation to repair my ACL, and after that, I've been in rehab and exercise.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.